Doing? Hope everybody's doing great. So I have a funny story to tell you. I basically have been doing this presentation to myself, but I hit the live button and I did not. So if you guys are on and you are here, if you could just leave a comment or a happy face or a smiley face, just so I know that this is coming through and you're seeing it, I would really, really appreciate it. My name is Amber DeSantis, and I am in the Milton, Georgia area near Atlanta. So anyway, I see that I am live now, so hopefully y'all will be able to see my screen. I'm probably going to jump back and forth between the actual presentation and this because I can see comments there. So if you're on and can leave a comment, I would really, really appreciate it. And I'm going to just wait one more second and see. Oh, here, I see that I'm in there. Oh, good. Thank you, Kristen. Yay. Okay. So I'm going to jump back to the presentation here. Creative. Okay, so we're going to be talking about, time management and things that you can do to create your ideal week that are going to help you implement that. So, I want to ask you guys some questions. So have you ever felt confused as to what you should be doing, what you should be focusing your time on? So we have so many options, and opinions out there on what we should be doing. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by everything that you need to do in your business? Because that is a real thing. Do you feel guilty about giving attention to your team versus your family members, or vice versa? And I know I feel very guilty about that sometimes. I have a problem with that. Or are you feeling overwhelmed or burned out because of how hard you've been working? You're pushing for something. So, this is something that we all struggle with. And as business owners, it's our job to create a positive outcome in our business. And for most of us, a different lifestyle is why we joined Rodan & Fields in the first place and we started our company. So from the very beginning, we want to be intentional about how we create our business and the type of schedule that we keep so that we can create that business that so we're building a business around our life and not doing that in the reverse. But it's almost impossible time management. And since it's going to be hard for me to see questions and all that, if anybody has questions, I will go through after the live is done, and also at the end, I'll take some questions. So basically, the results of bad time management, things that can happen if we're ineffective, it's affecting almost every area of our life, including our relationships and our personal life. When we are ineffective with the time we're given, we can experience, slow team building process with a lack of momentum, which is what I struggle with because I tend to be very disorganized. It can cause a strain on our family and our relationships with others. That feeling that we're always on, and it can tend to be duplicated. So, if you always have your cell phone on and a message comes through and you can't let it go without checking, that's being on all the time, or taking messages from your team at 11 o'clock at night and feeling like you need to answer them right away within 3 seconds. Or maybe you're just feeling that burnout feeling, or you're feeling overwhelmed. It's totally natural. And, it just means that we as leaders, it's our responsibility to ourselves to create that positive lifestyle. And so here's what that means. It means that you are very intentional about how you build your business so that in the end you have the type of business that you want. So, you don't want to build something where your success is actually a trap. So you want to build a business that you own, not a business that owns you. And just because your business is successful, it doesn't mean that you're personally successful. You don't want your personal life to suffer. So it is possible to have both. We don't want to have it at the expense of our family and personal life. So, today it's worse than ever with all of the distractions that we face on a daily basis. And so there are two primary methods that we must, and I'm going to say that again, we must employ as business owners in order to avoid being overwhelmed and burned out. And so number one is creating boundaries around your time, and we'll dig into that a little deeper. And we hear India talk about that all the time. She really stresses how important that is for her. She really understands that. And then number two is eliminating the randomness of your work. So doing these two things are going to help result in more productivity, better management of your time, and it's going to help eliminate that feeling of being burned out and overwhelmed. And here's what we need to know. As our team grows, if we don't get these two methods of control into place, that overwhelm and burnout is only going to get worse. And when that happens, your brain shuts down and you just can't think, and you kind of just, you basically shut down. So let's just dig a little bit deeper into these two concepts. So creating boundaries around your time, that's basically what you allow or don't allow to happen. Boundaries are clear rules, about when you will or will not be working your business. And for most people, boundaries are practically non-existent in our business. They're never off. So even when they're with their family, their husband, or their friends, the phone is close by and they're always on. And unfortunately, this is a message to our loved ones that you are not really 100% present. And, having those periods of time of dedicated rest and renewal are so critical to us as humans to, reach our full potential. And for some of us, the rest is the work that you need to be doing. So I'm going to say that again. The rest is the work that some of you need to be doing. And I know deep down there are probably, several of you that have been struggling with this, and it is not an admirable thing to always be available, all the time. It kills your productivity. And not stepping away and not, you've got to learn how to unplug and not work your business. And that's just as important to our success, our long-term success, as the work we actually do, So basically, if you don't step away from your business for short periods of time, then it's translating to your team that you don't respect your own time and that your time doesn't have to be earned. And here's the thing, if you don't respect your time, no one else is going to either. And it also will destroy your relationships. It takes away from your family, and it's basically the path to disaster. So here's a couple of examples of great boundaries we need to have with our teams. So the business hours we are and are not available, okay? The types of questions that you are willing to answer versus those that can be answered via, an available resource. And I know y'all have heard this from India time and time again. It is not noble and it's not good leadership to be 100% available to your team at all times. You think you're being a great leader. What happens is your team begins to see that this is how they have to be, that they have to be on 24/7 in order to be successful. And, that's not appealing. And, it is just as important for our team to see us not working as much as it is for them to see us work. And, we're promoting that lifestyle of freedom, of rest and renewal and financial freedom and time freedom. And so you actually need to live it as well and make sure your team knows it too. So you want to make sure you're scheduling business hours, and you want to let your team know when you are and are not available for work. And just as importantly, you want to schedule time each day, or evening, whenever that is in your schedule, where you 100% focus on your spouse and your family. And you have to do this. You must do this. in order for you and your family not to feel trapped by your work. Okay, so eliminating the randomness. So being overwhelmed comes from spending too many random hours doing your most important work. And being overwhelmed comes from a feeling of no control. So we can eliminate this randomness by clearly defining our life's priorities. Okay, so it's never a time issue, it's a priority issue in our business. And some people have less time than other people, but they still manage to get it done, right? So we're going to be figuring out, what your top priorities are. Okay, and then scheduling business hours of operation. If you start becoming intentional with your work time, it's going to force you to become more productive because you're eliminating that randomness to your day. And by creating a structure and a plan, for prospecting, for your social media posts, for trainings, for following up, going live, you want to be intentional about the people you're working with, your team even. Okay, you want to be planning that, and you want to focus at least 80% of your time on our income producing activities. That's the prospecting, presenting, following up, enrolling, or helping our team, with a 3-way call. That's an income producing activity for us. And, when you start setting business hours and being more intentional with your hours, you begin running your day differently, and you're immediately going to feel less overwhelmed. So putting together and implementing a structure and a plan, whether it's for your social media posts or anything, you're going to begin to feel in control again. And we also begin eliminating randomness in our work when we write down what is a priority in our life, saying yes to the things that are a priority and saying no to everything else. And so many people say they don't have enough time to effectively grow their business, but having more time is not the answer. Making it a priority is the answer. So prioritizing something means looking at the overall big picture of our life and deciding what do we value the most, and then we change our belief about what it takes to create success there. And so you don't have to work harder, you just have to work less random, right? Because if you have diluted focus, you're going to have diluted results. And we don't want that. And, when you schedule your week in advance, you're going to feel like you have more time. So we'll say, okay, you've made the decision to be more intentional about your time, to create boundaries, and you're going to quit working your business at random, whatever the day brings your way. But what does that mean, right? So this is going to be one of the most important things that you guys can learn, all right? We successfully schedule our week in advance by doing these 4 things. We're going to clearly define our priorities. We're going to define what tasks we must do in order to accomplish those priorities. And then we need to create a weekly ideal schedule, including a morning ritual. Okay, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And a quitting time, okay? And then number 4, implementing this pre-planned schedule with speed. And this is key, okay? And we're going to talk about each of these steps in advance. And at the end of the presentation, I'm going to issue you guys a challenge, okay? So defining your priorities. In order to have the lifestyle that is focused on your priorities, you first have to define what your priorities are. And so for real, I want you guys to write them down. Identify the top 2 or 3 priorities in your life, and your business should be one. And here on the screen are some examples of areas that you can consider as your top 2 to 3 priorities. But think about it like this. So how you spend your time and your money, those are your priorities. So if you're not really sure what they are, just think about where do you spend your time and what do you spend your money on, and those are your priorities. So it could be your spouse, your children, your faith, friends, your health, finances, your job, and your business. Okay, so writing those down. Now think about how you actually spend your time. is there a disconnect between what you say and what you actually do? So, you might even want to take a day or two and write down, what are you doing in your day? How are you spending every hour of your day? And we all say that family, health, etc., are our priorities, but we really need to nail down is if how we spend our time is reflecting that. So we can really narrow it down and be more specific in our priorities and decide to schedule these into our week, the faster and more extraordinary your results are going to be as far as your time. So part of defining our priorities also means saying no to activities that are not essential to the life that we are wanting to create. And sometimes that means, sacrificing a little bit. So you want to be clear, you want to get clear that saying yes allows you to say no to everything else. And don't feel guilty for saying no to things that are going to take up your time and that do not, at this point in our lives, move you towards reaching your goals, what your priorities are. And so, it's not like we're in the building phase. So sometimes we have to sacrifice things that are not on the top priority that are still on our priority list. So we might have to sacrifice them. So you just need to make peace with the fact that some things are not a priority, that some things don't deserve your time, and that no matter how hard you try, there are going to be things that will not get done. So, it doesn't matter. A prioritized life is not necessarily always a balanced life. You're going to go all in to what matters the most to you right now. And, just back and forth to that and just let go of everything else. And I'm going to just say this again. So how you spend your time and your money are the two best gauges for what your priorities are in life. And when it comes to priorities, also just know this. Your priorities only need to make sense in your own world. So they're yours. It's an agreement between you and your spouse, if you have one. It's not for your judgmental friends or your family members. It's what makes sense to you and your family right now in this season of your life. So don't let people judge you because you're not serving on the school fundraising committee this year, or because you hired a babysitter or a housekeeper to help you. Okay. So, so defining your success list. This is where we're going to talk about creating your ideal week and making time for what's most important for you. So you've created your list of your priorities, and so now you've got to figure out what actually has to take place each day or week. And we're not talking about like 5 to 10 tasks for each of the priorities that you listed, because that's just going to be overwhelming. I'm talking about just 1 to 3 activities that you need to do for each priority. So for each of those priorities, I want you to list 1 to 3 things that are most impactful in helping you accomplish that goal. So what 1 to 3 tasks are going to help you move the needle? And you can make it as a list, and you can label your list if you want with either should do or could do. And the should do's are the most impactful activities. And so as an example of this, let's talk about our health. So there are 100 different things that you can do to lose weight, but meal planning, healthy meals and getting in 30 minutes of exercise a few times a week can make a major change in a person's health, right? So your priority is to lose weight, and your meal planning and your exercise are your success list, your tasks that you would want to do. And then we all know about the 80-20 rule. It's actually called Pareto's Law. And so Pareto's Law states that 20% of your activities are going to help you accomplish 80% of your success. So these 1 to 3 tasks or activities are going to help you accomplish your priorities, and that's your success list. And there's also this really awesome book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, and he calls his list of tasks that will lead you to results. He calls them survival lists. And so a task list, that's hard to say. a task list becomes a success list when you apply Pareto's Law to your list and determine what activities are most helpful to you in achieving your goals. And let's see. So to create your ideal week, you're going to stop crash landing into Monday. Okay, we all have been guilty of this. Monday comes around, we're recovering from the weekend, and we don't know what we're doing, and we wasted basically Monday. So for instance, I'm planning on having my own team meetings on Fridays now, so that when Monday morning hits, we already as a team know what we need to get done, and we can hit the ground running Monday morning. And it's the same thing like for your business. So if you can plan on Friday or Saturday or Sunday for the week ahead, when Monday comes around, you already know what you're going to be doing. When you begin working your business in a less random fashion, you can start scheduling your week, or you must start scheduling your week in advance. So every hour of your day should have a name. So even if it's scheduling lunch or the gym or personal time, you're going to give every hour of your day a name, and this is called zero-based scheduling. And by doing this, you begin creating your ideal week. So, obviously it's rare that the perfect week actually happens, but you will, if you're following this plan, you might achieve something close to your perfect week. And as you start this process of scheduling this all out, you're immediately going to feel like you have more time, and you also are going to begin realizing how much time you waste. Okay. One of the side benefits of scheduling your days is that you're no longer going to waste energy on thinking what's next. All of your energy can be focused on the task that you've already planned out. So scheduling your days is going to allow you to satisfy all of your priorities, and it's also going to let you create a lifestyle that's less stress and more fun. So you want to focus 100% on whatever you have scheduled for that hour. And you don't want to waste any mental energy on worrying about what you're going to do next, because you already know. And if you're working your business from home and you need to do it with no distractions, go somewhere, go to Starbucks or a hotel, whatever you need to do to get out of the house. That's what I plan on doing this summer, because when I am sitting at home in the kitchen, I've got the dogs and the kids, and it's just distracting. And then when you are spending time with your family, shut the phone off and just be all there for your kids and for your husband. And approach scheduling your day like this. Don't do everything you can do in a day. Do everything you should do in a day. Okay, so I'm going to share with you my schedule, and I hope y'all can see it. Let me see if I can. Whoops. Okay, I can't zoom in. So I'll probably put this PDF on the group page so that you guys can see it. But anyway, this is my schedule. This is what works for me over the summer. And you can see I'm planning on waking up Monday through Friday at 7. And I'm going to do my morning ritual, have breakfast, either work out or go to the barn, shower, have my lunch. And then my afternoon is for my business. And then I have my workday shut down, dinner, and then there's a couple evenings where I might have to do some team trainings and things like that. But everything here is laid out for me. And then on the side over here, I just made notes for myself, things that I can do in my morning ritual. And I call these my backstage activities. These are activities for work that are maybe not income producing, but they're important things that we need to do. And then my front stage activities. These are my income producing activities, and also things that require me to be on, like Team Lives and things like that. And so right now, a few of you are probably saying to yourself, actually, I should probably go back to that. So, you're super busy. or you've got babies at home. There's no way I can schedule my day like you. My kids are here. So you know what? You're right. But there's no such thing as actually executing the perfect week. So you make a plan, you do your best to stick to it, and knowing that every single week there is this thing called life, and it happens, right? So it's okay. So even when life happens every single day, you're still going to accomplish way more than if you go into a day or a week and you have no plan at all and you're submitting to your randomness. And then the second thing I wanted you to remember is the Navy SEAL principle of 1 is none and 2 is 1. I don't know if y'all have ever heard that, but you see, anytime a Navy SEAL team is sent out on a mission, they don't move forward ever with just one plan in place. There is always a minimum of 2 plans in place because life happens when they're out on a mission. So if you're at home and you've got 3 kids running around and you plan to do your prospecting during nap time, and then a kid or the baby wakes up after 15 minutes, don't worry, you have scheduled another hour later in the day for your prospecting and recruiting, and you have that backup hour scheduled to make sure that happens. And guess what? Sometimes the baby wakes up early twice, and that's just life. Move on. It's going to be a better day tomorrow. And you also want to have at least 1 day per week where you literally shut off your business. That's your day with your family. So in my case, I'm really shooting to try to make the weekends over the summer my family time. And, I'm going to be making sure that my team sees that I am doing that, taking advantage of that. All right, so creating your morning ritual. This is a really important part. And I learned this in a book called The Miracle Morning. And studies show that how you start your day has everything to do with how you end your day. And just like you can't crash land into Monday, you cannot crash land into each morning. You've got to begin each morning with a plan. And when you start your day, by opening your phone and you're responding to messages, and you're basically beginning your day in a reactive state. And I am still guilty of this. And, to master your day, your morning ritual has got to be something that you control. When you begin your day with something as little as a morning ritual that you have defined, it puts you in a state of mind you feel accomplished, and that momentum will carry over into the rest of your day. And you can start out by saying, okay, knock that one out, read my book for the day, or I journaled for the day, what's next on the list. And a lot of us have read that book by Mel Robbins, The 5-Second Rule. And I loved, when she talked about that act of hitting the snooze button on your alarm can cost you up to 4 hours of productivity a day. And the first 2 to 3 hours of your day is your most productive time. And that's when your willpower and your brain is the most focused. So when the alarm goes off in the morning, you want to do everything in your power to get up and get moving. You want to get your phone away from your bed, put it on airplane mode, put it across the room or in another room. Force yourself to get up, put your feet on the floor, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and start your morning ritual. And you want to spend the first 30 minutes of your day not plugging in. Okay. Create your list of 3 to 5 tasks that you're going to be doing that day. And that's going to be really hard for some of you. I know it's going to be really hard for me. It is, but, things that you can do instead, you can meditate, you can read some personal development or the Bible. You can do some exercise or stretching. I'm going to be drinking coffee. I'm probably going to be drinking coffee and reading. That's what I love to kind of do that in the morning, take a slow wake up. Then you're going to do this schedule, and you're going to create it, and you're going to create it with speed. You're going to implement it with speed. So, doing all of these things are going to help you to become a better version of yourself. The speed at which you do things, I've learned, that's going to determine whether you succeed or you fail. So if you're stuck right now, it's because you're too slow. You're implementing things too slowly. You've got way too many things on your to-do list, and so you don't know where to begin, and you're feeling stuck. Or you don't feel ready, so you don't do it. And so you need to do things before you are even ready. You know, some people think they have to be ready before they take the first step, and they watch other people doing it and they assume that they have everything all figured out. But the truth is, the people that are doing this stuff are people who are just doing it and they're figuring it out as they go. So just remember this: action creates clarity, and you want to stop trying to make the right decision and just start taking action, because that's going to make the decision right. And when you start to feel doubt about the process and you're questioning yourself, just implement faster. And so I'm going to end with this quote. It's a really good quote. It's by Margarita Tartovsky. And productivity isn't about being a workhorse, keeping busy, or burning the midnight oil. It's more about priorities, planning, and fiercely protecting your time. And that's what you guys are going to do. That's what we're all going to do. Okay? And so this is your homework. I would love for you guys to write out on the paper 2 to 3 of your priorities. I want you to get a digital planner. I used Google, Google Sheets to create my my calendar, my ideal week. You could write it out on paper and use a paper planner. I have the Full Focus Planner by Michael Hyatt, and that actually has the ideal week already printed out in it. But to be honest, I really like my Google Sheet better because I can change it constantly. So the number 3 is you're going to actually craft your week, right? So you're going to create it. And then you're going to create your success list of your tasks that you're going to use, that you need to do to accomplish your goals. The income producing activities that you're going to focus on to help you get there. And then I would love for you guys to all share your ideal week in the comments to this post here. That would be awesome. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this and got something out of it. You know, if you did, please drop a yes or an emoji or something and just let me know. And thank you all for listening. I hope that wasn't too long, and I hope it worked. And I'm going to hit stop sharing now, so I think that's going to end the live. So thanks again, you guys. Bye.